looking back, I remember, everyone was adamant that the new business that's next to the Big Top was a record shop. And I remember David Beebe kept referring to me as, oh yeah, the record shop. And I probably had like 200 LPs that were used, and they were dollar bin at best. I remember one of my early customers coming in and just saying, I want to support, and like I said, the section was weak, and it was Flash Gordon Parks, and he's like, I just want to support stores, or he still shops here to this day. And I mean, that guy has really seen the transformation of the store from like a gift shop that sells vinyl to a record shop that has a little bit of gifts. We moved over to this space back in, I believe, 2011. I wanted to be in a space that had a lot of traffic. Back then, there was no development here. There was just a dirt lot to the side, and people would park there. So everyone would walk through to go either to the Continental Club, the Big Top, or Tacos A Go-Go. So I wanted to be kind of in their pathway, twice, rather than maybe they don't even get past the Continental or Tacos. And kind of grew from there. It was like a year after that, my friend Bobby Bernard had told me that he was going to close Sundance Records in San Marcos, and asked me if I wanted to kind of take over the inventory and sell it here at Sigs. He said, yeah, and we'll just put some upstairs, and I'll start doing my thing on the walls. If you look at Sigs walls, it's covered head to toe, 40 plus years of pop culture, news headlines, articles about legendary artists that have passed, ticket stubs, amazing artifacts that Bobby had collected through the years. And it's not just randomly stapled, there's a story to it. Everything's kind of connected. Whether it's obvious or something in Bobby's mind, it's or his humor, it all kind of connects. And it's not just music, but it's pop culture, it's headlines from things that happened. It's something I'm thankful he did. So when you walk upstairs, you'll notice that there's what looks like to be a bed. And it is. It's where Bobby would kind of crash when he would come down and visit after hunting for vinyl. He would usually come visit me once or twice a month. Originally, his plan was to go stay at a hotel, and I said, well, gosh, there's a space right up here. Why don't you just crash there? And he kind of looked at me like I was crazy. The following visit, he showed up with pillow, mattress pad, and a comforter, and we put it up there, and he slept up there for 9 years. I think it was the night before my last final, and I happened to go to the library. I rarely studied in college. I happened to pass Jennifer. I said, well, Sundance is going to be hiring. She worked at a store in Corpus, and she had said she was looking for a job, and told her that they'll be hiring at Sundance, and because I'm leaving. Eventually she got a job there, and at the time I was Sundance's sales rep at a music wholesaler here. And we ended up talking to each other daily whenever I would handle their account. When I was their sales rep, I would call and ended up talking to Jen every day just to kind of do the add-ons for the order. And one thing led to another, and ended up getting married. So honestly, Bobby and Nancy, I mean, they're indirectly responsible for my marriage, my business. Gosh, Nancy held a shower for my oldest son, and they've been like an aunt and uncle to my children. But we actually expanded in last year. Posterized this wall, and he was going to continue in this room a little bit more. Little I know that he would pass away in August, which is, never really recover from, because I see him every day I come into the store, and that's kind of heart-wrenching. When we had done the expansion, I'd contacted Derek Yoniger. He did my logo for me. When I expanded, I actually asked him to design some artwork that would kind of go on the outside of the store that kind of recognized the business next to me on either side of me. Like Judy at My Flaming Heart, when I first opened, she would sell some of her wares and shirts in the store. She actually designed this shirt. It ties into the outside of the building. It's got big cats, which you'll see a tiki it's holding some scissors and a record. Big E's a DJ also. Mermaid that's holding 2 records, conveniently covering the obvious area, and it's actually unfinished. There's another tiki that has holding a record and a drink, because the drink ties into my neighbors, the 2 Robins at Double Trouble. Back in the early 2000s, I was doing vocals for a band called Clouseau. Clouseau kind of started, it was the brainchild of Jay Brooks, who was the bassist from Middle Finger. And Jay said, yeah, and this young guy, I think he was like 19 at the time. He's this amazing guitarist, and his name's Kelly Doyle. And we played regularly at the Continental Club. And I had walked by one evening and noticed there was an empty space that was right next to the big top. And I contacted Pete, and he said, well, there's a record shop moving in there. And at the time I was working for a one stop out of California. I called Pete again and he said, well, it kind of fell through. So we started talking, and my wife and I always wanted to have our own store. We both worked at Sundance Records together. That's how we actually met. Jen and I talked about it, so we had to come up with a name. John Lomax had told me about this book by this author named Sigmund Bird. And in that book, where this kind of beatnik guy was talking to another guy, and this beatnik guy kind of said Lagoon, and it was kind of like synonymous to cool. So we called it Sigs Lagoon. Naturally, opening a business right next to a club, it was kind of like a dream location for me, playing in bands in Houston at the time. It was perfect, so I could kind of have my cake and eat it too. So when you walk around Sigs, you'll see bamboo, you'll see every now and then a slight nod to that, and it's as Bobby kind of came in and started doing the walls, some of that disappeared, but we still kind of maintain that vibe in certain parts of the store. When I first moved to Houston, I started a record label, and having the store as long as it has in the block, I've kind of gotten that bug again. This year we're going to launch a Sigs Lagoon imprint. Plan to announce some of the first couple artists we're going to release. It's also going to be a reissue label, and it'll all be based out of the store. One of the first releases we're looking at doing is with, you always start with your home base, and so we're going to release a solo album from Kelly Doyle. I'm Tomas Escalante, owner-operator of Sigs Lagoon Record Shop in Mid-Main, Houston, Texas.